Good Wednesday evening. Thanks for joining us for Unscripted here on Up North Live as we are now halfway through the week. Some areas seeing some snow flurries and, of course, chilly temperatures continue. But for a more in-depth look at what you can expect, here is Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. And today a little cooler. I don't know if you really noticed it. We had 30s yesterday, this evening, and well, earlier today, temperatures in the 20s. We've kind of been stuck there most of the day. Here's a look at current temperatures, but it is just cold enough, and we have a northwest wind where we still are dealing with a little bit of lake effect snow. So there it is. Complete sunshine over here today, but on our side of the lake, of course, rather cloudy and some snow, although the thought right now is that this will start to diminish as we head through the overnight, and most of this will be done with by tomorrow morning. So we could maybe in these areas pick up about another inch or so of snowfall. After that ends, we're not going to see any more for a while. Look at our average temperatures, mild right through the early to mid part of next week. And that means some melting too. We'll take a full look at that forecast coming up a little later.
A policy without a punishment for breaking it isn't much of a policy. The IT department in Grand Traverse County knows that, and they've experienced the fallout from it. And this morning, they are sharing their concerns with county commissioners. Our Mark Shillette reports.
I have to kind of acquiesce and do what I'm told to do.
And Cliff Dupuis says that's not only uncomfortable for him, but it poses a risk to everyone else.
I mean, that feels like a real vulnerability for the county.
A vulnerability because as Grand Traverse County's IT director, Dupuis' job is maintaining cybersecurity amongst the county's roughly 580 employees.
We provided training. We have in our knowledge base article how to do that.
The challenge for Dupuis and the possible vulnerability for the county is that he says not enough employees are doing that training, and it shows.
We just recently did a phishing exercise during Christmas. We had a 14.3% failure rate.
That shows a potential risk. But of those 72 actually clicked on the fishy link, a little more than half took the assigned 15-minute remedial training.
It was met with so much pushback, I just finally gave up and passed everybody.
And commissioners heard that pushback wasn't just from the employees it was assigned to.
The challenge we have, to be candid with you, is we have department heads and elected officials in different departments that will reach out to elected officials and call Mr. Alger and complain.
While the majority of county employees are following the rules, Dupuis says it only takes one misstep to lead to issues, hacks like the county's 2024 attack.
About a year and a half ago, we tried to implement a data loss protection policy, which we do not have in place. That was met with consequence. A lot of the gate didn't want to do that because this is what I do and this is who I am.
Pushback also against the county's acceptable use policies, meant to keep the county's and residents' data protected.
We have individuals who feel that they don't need to sign that, so they've never signed that acceptable use policy, but they continue to use enterprise applications.
The IT department has felt the need to go on the offensive with out-of-the-box training moments for staff, posting random QR codes in the entryway to see if employees would actually click on it. And
we've thrown thumb drives down in the parking lot or left them in the restrooms to see if anyone would take them and click on them.
Ultimately, it comes down to employees knowing and following the best practices, with Commissioner Andrews asking,
why can't we mandate everyone take basic security training?
Ms. Andrews, from your lips to God's ears, it would be so helpful.
Again, the majority of employees are taking the training and are following proper procedures. But the request today to put some bite into the policy's bark, some enforcement so that those who choose not to don't continue to put the county and residents at risk.
It's costing millions of dollars to taxpayers because people are lazy before they have egos that are bigger than their jobs. We need to fix that.
That was Up North Live's Mark Shillette reporting. Today was a study session for county commissioners, so no decisions were actually made, but county commissioners and the IT department are expected to address not only the policy and issues that were addressed today in terms of cybersecurity, but also AI in future meetings. And that brings us to our question of the day right now. Does your place of employment require you to take internet safety training? Check out our our website poll right now. You can scan the QR code on your screen. You can also check out our Facebook page, Up North Live, and leave your comments. And as always, we check out those poll results and comments to the question of the day at the end of the show. New tonight, a growing demand for food pantries all across the country, including right here in northern Michigan. In fact, the Salvation Army in Petoskey is starting their first ever food drive. The March Out Hunger Food Drive kicks off next month, March 16th through the 27th at the Petoskey Core Community Center Food Pantry on Mitchell Park Drive. The pantry will be open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Joining us now to talk about the need for the food pantry is Roman Hank, the Envoy Corps Administrator for the Salvation Army Great Lakes Division Petoskey Corps. Roman, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me on tonight.
I want to first start with the fact there is a need for this food pantry, and the Salvation Army in Petoskey is trying to help. How will this all work?
Well, we've operated a food pantry ever since, oh gosh, I can't remember when. But this is a food drive that we're going to do. Is something that I did at a different location when I was in charge there, where we used Facebook as far as our food drive, where we asked folks over Facebook to help us out. And then we just have them bring the donated goods to our building here, and it helps restock the shelves. We've seen an increase in need, like you said, this year, especially this winter. It's been tough on a lot of folks. Utility assistance is just skyrocketed. And so are the food requests, as folks are trying to do the best they can. But obviously they sometimes got to make choices between whether they pay a bill or whether they go to the grocery store.
Is this something that if someone is struggling right now and they'd like to utilize the pantry, do they have to call ahead of time? Do they have to register in any way?
Actually, they do not. They can come in any day, Monday through Friday, between 9 and noon or 1 and 4. There's some paperwork to fill out. Very simple, very easy to do. And they walk out the door with some groceries that kind of fills the gap a little bit. Doesn't satisfy everything, but we do the best that we can to try and ease the burden of everyone.
Does any of this food, Roman, go to schools or businesses in the Petoskey area, or is it strictly for families or people in need of this food right now?
It's strictly for the families and individuals
Okay.
Who are having trouble making ends meet. We don't give it to any of the schools or businesses or anything like that.
And I know there is a long list of food items that are needed, and it can be found on the website, but can you just give us an idea of some of those items that you are looking for right now or requesting for donations?
Oh, sure. A lot of your very shelf-stable items like macaroni and cheese, ramen noodles, canned vegetables, canned soups. And when it comes to the canned products, if you can purchase the ones that have the pop tops, makes it a whole lot easier, because sometimes we get requests from those who are homeless, and having a can opener is kind of a struggle. But items like that, anything that you could particularly think of as shelf stable, we would take it.
And are you also accepting any monetary donations? If someone says, hey, I can't get any food donations, but I would like to give money to the food pantry, to the Salvation Army.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can stop by the community center building here during those same times to make your donation that way. Or if you want to go and do it by credit card, you can go to our website, sapetoskey.org. And you can make your donation that way as well.
And what do you want Northern Michigan or anyone watching right now who maybe they are in need from the food pantry? What would you want them to know?
Want them to know that if they're really struggling and they can't get through, come see us. We want to help you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And to know that, go ahead.
Yes, and to know that we're not open just one day a week. We're open through Friday.
Thank you, Roman. Appreciate the time speaking with you, and thank you for what you're doing. If you would like more information about that list that Roman mentioned with the food pantry, also the hours of operation and all the details, you can check out our website, UpNorthLive.com. In continuing coverage, the moose population in Michigan, it's dropping. That is wildlife experts looking for the reason behind this decline. Meteorologist Ethan Foreman reports on a study looking at the potential factors.
In 2023, the moose population was at 426, but dropped to about 300 by 2025. Tyler Petrolia, a wildlife specialist with the Department of Natural Resources, says that there are some reasons as to why we could see this decline despite a stagnant population for the 2010s and early 2020s.
Over the last decade, we've seen our moose population stagnate in our core range. So that's in the western upper peninsula of Michigan. And that's the area we survey in the 3-county area of Baraga, Marquette, and Iron counties. And it's been between 300 and 500 animals over the last decade.
Beyond that core range is another moose population, which includes Alger, Schoolcraft, Luce, and Chippewa counties.
Moose are shifting where they occur in that core range. And that is one of the things that we're very interested in our current moose collaring effort, is to better understand how moose are used in the landscape and how they're distributed across the landscape.
In February 2025, the Keweenaw Bay Indian Community, the Michigan DNR, and Northern Michigan University partnered in this new program by collaring 20 moose and outfitting them with GPS tracking.
For this moose capture operation, we are doing what's called helicopter darting. This is it's a safe practice to capture moose efficiently. 40 moose in a short period of time. We call in a helicopter in order to dart the moose, mobilize that animal.
Petrolia says that the survival rate from last year was high. There were around 20 animals that were collared, and around 3/4 of them are still alive. There is also something Petrolia wants you to keep in mind.
We know that vehicle collisions in Michigan have killed over 60 animals in the last 3 years. And, 60 may not sound like a lot, but our moose population being relatively small, 300 to 500 animals, 60 animals is a large proportion of that population.
Ethan Foreman, UpNorthLive News.
All right, and stay right here. Of course, we will take a look at that weather forecast for this Wednesday and going into Thursday coming up after this break.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
I'm Dee Dee Gatton with the National News Desk in Washington, D.C., and this is your news update.
We've released more than 3 million pages, including 180,000 images, all to the public, while doing our very best in the time frame allotted by the legislation to protect victims.
House Judiciary Committee lawmakers grilled Attorney General Pam Bondi today over the Justice Department's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files release. Democrats criticized the DOJ over redactions. Bondi questioned why lawmakers hadn't pressed former Attorney General Merrick Garland to investigate Epstein more. And President Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House today. It comes as the U.S. has resumed talks with Iran over its nuclear weapons program. Netanyahu has indicated he wants Trump to take a stronger stance in the next round of negotiations. Trump has threatened military action against Iran if they can't reach a diplomatic solution. Plus, one of the country's biggest teachers' unions encouraged employees to use school resources to resist ICE. That's according to United Teachers Los Angeles planning documents from last year obtained by Defending Education. The documents promote a variety of tactics to prepare for, monitor, and resist ICE agents. And that's your news update.
The National News Desk can be seen on ABC 29 and 8 on Saturday night at 11:30 and Sundays at midnight. Welcome back to Up North Live's Unscripted to see what we can expect as we inch closer throughout the week. Here's Chief Meteorologist Joe Charleboy.
All right, thanks, Melissa. And look at weather tonight. We still have a little bit of lake effect snow, but that's going to end by tomorrow morning. And then it's going to be a while till we see more as we have kind of a mild stretch coming up here. Here's the snow on the ground, or the snow pack currently. I'll tell you what, it's going to look a lot different about a week from now. We are going to lose, here in lower Michigan, a fair amount, I think, over the next week. Pretty thick snow up here, or deep snow rather. So we'll lose some there too across the UP, but we'll see how that plays out because again, we're going to start warming up. But in the short term tonight, we have a northwest wind. You can see the wind direction here. Still a little breezy wind there at Rogers City at 17 miles per hour, but that's crossing Lake Superior and Lake Michigan and still leading to lake effect snow near Marquette, and then also much of northern lower Michigan. Now this looks a lot more intense than it actually is. This is pretty light snow. And I do think, we're looking at an inch or less in particular for these areas, but this will start to diminish by tomorrow morning as high pressure upstream will start building in here. You can see this kind of double-barreled high, which will keep things quiet, not just tomorrow, but through the rest of the week into the upcoming weekend. And here's what that looks like. So snow showers ending. I still think maybe a few snow showers in the Grand Traverse region tomorrow morning. Otherwise, a mostly cloudy sky tomorrow, maybe a little sun peeking through at times. And then Friday, quiet weather, partly to mostly cloudy, or clouds north, I think, a little more sun south. And then here's Saturday, looks rather cloudy, maybe a little sun in the afternoon. I know the forecast, a lot of people say, oh my gosh, it looks really warm and sunny this weekend. The warm part, yes, I'm not so sure about a lot of sun though. Sometimes this time of the year, I've seen this in the past, these clouds get stuck overhead, so we'll see on Saturday. But either way, it will be a quiet weekend, and there's the temperatures, 32 to 42 Saturday. That is Valentine's Day, and then Sunday, mostly cloudy and mild, mid-30s to mid-40s. Cold air staying locked up. Here's the Great Lakes region to the north of us right through next week. So we have this kind of mild flow coming into the Great Lakes region, and in the short term, it stays pretty mild. 30s on Saturday, 30s and 40s Sunday. So you see the clock up here. There's next week. Widespread 40s perhaps on Monday, 30s and 40s Tuesday. And look at Wednesday next week, at least the forecast. Some 60s downstate, widespread 40s here, at least in lower Michigan. So a pretty mild stretch coming up again through next week. Tonight, 8 to 24, that's the range. Lake effect snow slowly ending, lots of clouds. And then tomorrow, a light breeze, partly to mostly cloudy with highs in the 20s. One last day, in fact, of the next week, that's the coldest day. And it's not bad, upper 20s tomorrow. Very similar to what we had out there today. Big Rapids 31, Ludington 29. All right, looking ahead as we take a look into the weekend, 30s to around 40 on Valentine's Day, upper 30s, low 40s on Sunday. could see a couple spotty showers on Monday. That's President's Day. That'd be rain showers. And as we head into the middle of next week, interestingly enough, we'll keep an eye on that, but there is the chance perhaps for a little rain next Wednesday.
All right, thanks for that, Joe. Coming up, sports director Harrison Beebe talks about the big high school hockey game tonight between Traverse City Central and Traverse City West Senior High. All of those sports details coming up next. Welcome back to Unscripted. Sports director Harrison Beebe is covering high school hockey tonight. Before he left, though, for the game, he recorded a preview of the game and also looks ahead at some other basketball news and notes.
The final week of the regular season for high school hockey, teams are going to get started with regional play next week as we crown state champions at the beginning of next month. Hard to believe the winter sports calendar already turning over that fast. But before we get to regionals, Central and West, the rematch, the Trojans and Titans of Traverse City scoring on for a second time. A few weeks ago, it was a Saturday game they met at Howe Arena. Central winning that one 5-3. This is the rematch going down tonight. Unfortunately, neither of these teams really in the mix for the Big North Conference. Alpena and Petoskey kind of control that fate going forward the rest of the way. But we know bragging rights always up for grabs. And, of course, momentum heading into regional play next week. The Trojans and Titans, they're in separate divisions for the postseason. West is in Division 1. They'll be in Grand Rapids next week. Central, lucky in Division 2, they get to host regionals at Center Ice beginning next week. Big news coming down from the NBA. These suspensions made official for the Pistons-Hornets brawl that took place in their basketball game on Monday night. An ugly scene down there in Charlotte. And we now know 4 players going to be suspended, including 2 Pistons. Isaiah Stewart's going to get the massive suspension, 7 games. He'll be out till March, factoring in the All-Star break. Stewart not even involved in the original altercation, but came off the bench, which is a big no-no for the league. But he gets 7 games. Jalen Duren was one of the victims of the fight early on. He's going to be punished 2 games for this suspension, and then 2 other Charlotte Hornets players, Misa Duabate and former Michigan State player Miles Bridges, getting suspended 4 games for their involvement in that altercation. All right, let's move to college basketball, where Michigan is taking on Northwestern tonight in the Big Ten Conference, and the Wolverines sitting pretty with about a month to go in the college basketball regular season. The second-ranked Maize and Blue Wolverines 12-1 in the conference, essentially 2 games ahead of everyone else, including what appears to be right now a 4-way tie for second place between Illinois, Purdue, Nebraska, Michigan State. Those 4 all with 3 losses in conference play. So if any of them are going to catch Michigan before it's all said and done, they're going to need the Wolverines to help them out and win another game or 2. All right, that's going to do it for your look at unscripted sports. Back to you, Melissa.
Thanks, Harrison. Coming up, we'll take a look at those live results for our question of the day. Stay with us.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Welcome back to Unscripted here on Up North Live. We are taking a look at our question of the day. Does your place of employment require you to take internet security training? You can see right there on your screen, 62% saying yes, 38% saying no. We only have a couple of responses on our Facebook page. Sue is saying yes, continuous improvement when it comes to the online security that she takes at work. Amanda says yes, monthly. You can still chime in, and as always, we'd love to hear from you. Check out our website and our Facebook page, Up North Live. Thank you for joining us for Unscripted tonight. We hope to see you back here for Up North Live News at 11. Until then, have a fabulous evening.